All right, welcome in, Musso at the box. Smash the like button, get subscribed up to the show, YouTube channel, and your favorite podcast app. Just search Musso at the box. We're presented by Gotlit Light Installers, GotlitLights.com. LSU, they dropped the series opener over on the Plains, 8-4 to Auburn. A game that really wasn't that close. 4-run spread here does not actually do justice. LSU was beat pretty handedly and pretty soundly tonight in every phase of the game by the Auburn Tigers. They were better than you at the plate, they were better than you in the field, and they carved you up on the mound. LSU struck out 12 times in this game. That's the most they've struck out all season in a singular game. They were just constantly off balance. There's some silver linings to take away from this that we can get into, but ultimately, a lot of the things that we talked about in the series preview kind of reared their ugly head here tonight for LSU on the road. Things you just can't do on the road in order to win, you did, and ultimately you see the result. So we'll go through all of it. I feel really badly for Cade Anderson. That guy easily could have thrown shutout innings, and instead he ends up giving up 6 runs and 5 of them were earned. You know, you look at that second inning, and he gets 2 weak singles in that inning. Both of them beat the shift. And then he gets a huge strikeout of Bristol Carter. Oh, I'm sorry, it wasn't a strikeout of Carter. He jammed on the fastball, and he fisted it to Milam at short. You get ahead 0-2 on Fralick, then 1-2. Makes a great pitch that is damn near, Fralick goes down and gets it off the plate and drives it. It looked like a pop-up off the bat. Derek Curiel did not get a good read on it, therefore took a poor angle on the ball, and it ends up getting over his head and drops in. That's unfortunate. Look, Curiel's been phenomenal in the outfield. We're not going to sit there and, really harp on the kid making one poor play, but in the grand scheme of things, Cade Anderson should have been out of that inning or ultimately could have been out of that inning on that moment. But you credit Fralick as well for going down, getting that pitch, and driving it. We talked plenty about him, y'all. He's a great hitter and a great athlete, and you saw that plenty from him tonight. So tip of the hat to Fralick there. Could you have been out of the inning? Sure, but you weren't, and you're down 2-0. The important thing was the response from Anderson. He comes back, immediately strikes out the next guy, hangs a few zeros, and then you get into that 5th inning where, again, some rough baseball luck for Cade Anderson. He gets a strikeout to start that inning in the 5th, which was awesome. It was just 3 straight fastballs. At that point, the rain was coming down, which, what the hell was that? I mean, out of nowhere. It was supposed to be in impeccable weather this weekend, and then it rains out of nowhere mid-game. Gets ahead of Fabian, then gives up a single up the middle. There's still 1 out, and then this is where he got a tough break again. It is a sharply hit ground ball right at Tanner Reeves. It is tailor-made double play. He picks it up cleanly. LSU's out of that inning with a double play. Instead, it goes through his legs. And we'll come back and have a Reeves conversation because one is definitely warranted and one has been warranted for a little bit here now. The issue after that is you end up with that, so that's one bit of bad baseball luck. The other bit is Rembert then just bloops one into shallow right field. I mean, he was jammed, and he got just enough of it to get into the Bermuda Triangle no man's land. At that point, the bases are loaded, and here comes Ike Irish. And now you're in trouble. And Anderson falls behind in the count and works it back full, but hangs a curveball. And Ike Irish hits really the first hard hit ball of the inning off the wall in center field, clears the bases. And at that point, with Sam Dutton rolling the way that he was, the game was, for all intents and purposes, over. You were down 5-0. You go to Cooper Williams. He allows the inherited runner to score with McMurray's single. And at that point, you're down 6-0. And it looked really bleak. And ultimately it was. I mean, it's baseball. Crazy things can happen. You never want to say that the game's over, but the game was over after the fifth inning in that point. So a couple things. I do want to touch on Sam Dutton. We talked about it on the preview. There's a few things we know about him. One of them is strike thrower. I mean, if y'all have listened to the show any point over the last 3 years and some change when Sam Dutton was at LSU, y'all know what a big fan of his that I was. It was 4 pitches. It was constantly in the zone. The problem with him at LSU was the quality of a strike isn't near the level that it is this season. And credit to him, y'all. He's taken a great step, and he's taken advantage of an opportunity, and he's pitching awesome. So, I mean, that's hat tip to Sam Dutton. The difference maker is the curveball. That pitch is so far and away better than it was when he was at LSU. Like, he had a curveball at LSU. It was not that. That thing is slow and has a lot of depth to it, and he was pitching, not pitching, he was throwing that thing, flipping that thing over for strikes at 69 miles per hour earlier. That was really impressive. I mean, that guy has thrown 13 straight scoreless innings against 2 top 10 teams that were both hitting well over 300 in Alabama and LSU. So, major hat tip to Sam Dutton. You know, would I have loved him to not carve LSU up? Absolutely. But he, you know, he's improved a lot, and I'm happy to see the kid having success. You know, again, do you wish that wouldn't have happened to you? Of course. But you know, tip your hat to Sam Dutton. He was awesome. I thought Cade Anderson was really good too. He had some bad luck and the bad breaks. And LSU did not play well enough defensively. And I'll tell you the other thing. Watching that Auburn lineup, y'all, it's as advertised. That's a hard team to strike out. LSU, you look at the final stat line. LSU punched out 11 tonight. The thing is, they were spread out. You didn't go out there and really punch out the side a lot, right? Auburn punched out 11 times, but in between those strikeouts, they put together really competitive at-bats, worked counts, put the ball in play. Like that 5th inning is a perfect example. Fralick in the 2nd. I mean, he's down in the count, 2 strikes, and he just goes down and makes contact with the ball, and it falls in. Remember, gets jammed, but competitive at-bat, it falls in. That's what Auburn does. That's one of the things that made me extremely nervous about them in having to face them in this series. They're hot. They're at home. And, Auburn has the luxury, kind of like LSU does, a lot of their toughest series are at home. And, this one falls into that category, and they got the win to start. Tanner Reeves, let's talk about that. Somebody asked me in one of these post games, a couple weeks ago, hell, it might have been last week against Oklahoma, what I thought of the third base. And I said at that point, last week, I would still like it to be Michael Braswell's job. The only way, and look, I think Tanner Reeves has a bright future at LSU. Like, there will be another year for him next season at LSU. Tanner Reeves is not a third baseman. Tanner Reeves is a second baseman, but he's not playing second base because Danny Dickinson is there. Let's be clear. Tanner Reeves is a second baseman. He's a step slow at third. The arm strength isn't enough to make up for that step slow. And that's now, he made 2 errors tonight, but one of them in a really, really, really key spot. But he had a key error again a week ago against Oklahoma. That was to the 9-hole hitter, and that started one of their innings where they got runs off of irons, and they were all unearned because the error led off the inning. But And I understand. I understand what you're saying, Tanner, that ground balls hit you between the legs at second base too. They don't get on you as quick. That's what I mean when I say he's a step slow. He doesn't have the fast enough first step to get down on the ball well enough at third base, I don't believe. At second base, yes, they hit you between the legs, but they're not screaming at you at the hot corner. But the thing is, everyone wants to look at Tanner Reeves' batting average. It's not good enough to give up the glove. It's actually quite comparable to Michael Braswell in SEC play. So give me the comparable bat and the better glove. It's that simple for me. I don't care. I don't care if there's a righty on the mound, a lefty. I don't care if the pitcher's throwing with his damn foot. Good hitters hit, whatever. Look at Auburn tonight. How many lefties in that lineup smashed LSU's lefty pitching? Ike Irish, Chase Fralick, Bub Terrell. Good hitters hit. Cooper McMurray had a hit. All those guys. There's 4 lefties. Good hitters hit. Okay? So I don't really subscribe to the righty-lefty deal as much as some coaches do. And I get it. They're looking at analytics. Don't care. Good hitters hit. Michael Braswell was a good hitter. He was your leading hitter in conference play a year ago, facing both lefties and righties. I want to see Michael Braswell be the everyday third baseman of this team, because if the batting averages in SEC play are going to be comparable, you give me the better glove. I think Tanner Reeves has a bright future. I don't think he's off to pro baseball after this year. I think he could easily slot in as LSU's second baseman next season, and he's got some valuable experience here. But you should have been out of that inning, and that's 3 errors the last 2 weekends, and all of them have cost you runs. And you cannot do that on the road. So that's where I've really stood on this for a while. You can go back right before SEC play when Reeves hitting the cover off the ball, and I did an episode on LSU's best 9, and I threw Michael Braswell on at third base. It's where I have stood, and it's where I will continue to stand. And again, I think Tanner Reeves is a really good ball player and will have better days. But for now, in the meat of your schedule, I want to go with the guy who has proven it at this, through his career at this juncture, that he can do it, and that's Michael Braswell. I do want to get into a couple things that I liked tonight. Let me remind you about Gotlit Light Installers, and we'll do that. GotLitLights.com, temporary outdoor lighting, permanent landscape lighting as well. So let's start with the landscape. Front yard, backyard, pool area, patio, front flower beds, however you want to illuminate your landscape. Gotlit Lights has you covered there with their permanent landscape lighting. You have your private events, your weddings, your anniversary parties, your birthday parties, whatever it may be. Graduations are coming up. You need temporary lighting for those parties outdoor. Gotlit Lights has you covered there. Custom design, cut to fit, install, maintenance, and tear down. They do it all. All you do is say, here's the design that we want, and Gotlit makes it a reality. GotLitLights.com for your quote. Gotlit Light Installers. Some things that I liked tonight. Quietly out of the bullpen, you saw 3 really nice performances. The one gripe I would have about the bullpen is allowing the inherited runners to score. Williams allowed the inherited runner to score that he inherited from Anderson, and then Rizzi allowed the inherited runner to score that from Williams. That one was unearned. But I thought Maverick Rizzi pitched really well over 2 innings. He gave up the 5 hits, and that's a lot. But he punched out 2. He didn't walk anybody, and he pitched around those 5 hits. And that's encouraging because Maverick Rizzi is a guy with plenty good enough stuff. We know that. The fastball was up to 95 tonight, maybe a 96. I thought he threw a couple nice sliders in there. That was encouraging. You're down. You're not burning Evans or, Binge or Cowan or any of those guys you perceive as your top of your pitching staff. So you were able to get a couple guys, young guys in there to make some strides and get some work in. And I thought, for all intents and purposes, Maverick Grizzly really pitched well. And then Jacob Myers was wildly impressive. I mean, that was awesome. And Myers was going through the top of that lineup for Auburn there in the 8th. He comes in, first hitter he faces is Eric Snow, the leadoff hitter in the lineup, and he, good morning, good afternoon, good night, 3 pitches, heater, nasty breaking ball, and punched him out looking. So that was awesome. Rimbert comes up after that, and that's when you had the weird call time. It didn't really work, whatever, and he hits him with the pitch, fine. Credit Luis Hernandez, throws a seed, catches him stealing, and then you strike out Ike Irish looking as well. So he had 2 strikeouts, a hit by pitch. He didn't go to 1-3 ball count, which is incredibly impressive. The fastball was dots, and he threw a really solid breaking ball. That can get you excited. Now you have to see it far more. Like, you need more you start running him out there, he starts doing that, you've got something, because the stuff is incredible from Myers. It's just always been about the command and really control. He had both tonight, and I mean, he was ahead of every hitter, no 3-ball counts, 2 punch outs, and went through the top 3 in that order. That was wildly impressive from Jacob Myers. Like, bravo. The other thing that I will say is LSU got to look at 2 of Auburn's best arms, and you probably burned one of them in Carson Myers, which is huge. LSU, you were down 5 heading to the top of the 9th, and you just weren't great offensively tonight. You weren't going to come back and win that game. That does not happen. That happens at Nichols. That does not happen on the road in the SEC. Let's just be honest. But what was huge in that 9th inning was you extended Myers, pushed across a run, and got him to 45 pitches. And ultimately, he's probably not going to be back this weekend. So that's massive. You saw Cam Tilley. He struggled a lot, walked 3. That's how you ended up with your biggest inning there. And he threw 21, so he can come back, but at least you kind of got to look at him. So those are 2 things. The only thing that could have made that better for LSU in a loss offensively, with how poorly they performed at the plate tonight, would have been if they could have gotten Curiel home and then chased Myers and gotten a look at Ryan Hetzler out of the bullpen. Because if they would have chased Curiel home, I think Hetzler was coming in that ball game, and you would have got to look at the closer in game 1. Like, you would have got to look at 3 of their best arms out of the pen in game number 1. So that's a silver lining to take. Looking forward to Saturday and Sunday. LSU, you have 2 games left. I mean, you have the advantage starting pitching wise in both of them. Many would argue you had an advantage starting pitching wise tonight. I am not one of those. And it's not because I think Dutton's better than Anderson. I don't. I think Cade Anderson is better than Sam Dutton. Dutton's just improved a lot. He's pitching really well, and he's going against his former team. There's going to be motivation there. It kind of, balances that matchup out a little bit. Anthony Ianson is better than Cade Fisher. Chase Shores is better than TBA, which I'm expecting that to be Andreas Alvarez. You have the advantage there. You have Cowan and Evans saved up for the last 2 games. That's a good spot to be in. Now, Gray, is that a real question? Are you really asking me if you stick with Cade Anderson as the Friday starter? Yes! He threw a complete game shutout a week ago. That cannot be a real question. Anyway, jeez. So you like the way you're pitching. Okay, Gray. Thank you. Oh, man. I was about to say, what? Was somebody else? Yes, got you now. I got you, Gray. You're making a statement. Great. Periods help too. I know that he says I'm not a moron. There was no question mark, but there was also no period. Periods help as well. Was somebody saying, yeah, punctuate, it's important. Was somebody saying to not stick with Cade Anderson? Because if they were, everything I said still remains. Like, golly. I did kind of lose my track of thought there. So you like where you are from a pitching standpoint. LSU offensively, they have to get better. The last 2 games haven't really been good enough for LSU at the plate. You scored in 1 inning against Nichols. You put up a 5 spot. You won the game. That was awesome. You showed great resiliency. Tonight you scored in 2 innings, but the game was out of reach the majority of the time. LSU has got to get back on track at the plate. I think that they can. This lineup is still plenty good enough. They're averaging 10 runs per game. Like, there will be no slander on the LSU lineup after 2 subpar performances. Which, again, that phrase has never made sense to me. Subpar is actually good in golf. But anyway, so, tomorrow's another day, and they get to, they get to go out there and play it again. The one thing I will tell you, though, is what you have to do. Justin LaGrange, I believe Sam Burns did make the cut. Sorry, that sidetracked me again as well, guys. My bad. Y'all smash the like button if you haven't already, too, please. What you have to do over the next 2 games is win 1, right? Like, that's LSU has swept a couple of series in conference. You have a little margin for error. You can't get swept, though. And you have 2 chances to go win 1, and you hold the pitching advantage in all of them. So, let's make sure that happens. So, cleaner defense tomorrow is a must. Good start from Ianson. And again, you got a good start from Anderson tonight. He had some bad luck in there, and his defense let him down a couple times. So, better defense, great start from Ianson, and more in character at the plate. More in character at the plate from LSU. All right, let's go back to the top, get some questions, and also y'all throw some in there as well. Excuse me. Well, I can't even go all the way back up to the top now. All right. Well, I saw DJ Trauma put a super chat in there. I appreciate that. Thank you. I was going to go back and read the comment. I can't see it. J Johnson _orange juice. That's a hilarious YouTube handle, actually. Wow, I haven't thought about the orange juice thing in a while. Wants to know, do we see Jake Brown tomorrow? We'll see. LSU is facing a lefty on the bump in Cade Fisher. So we'll see. Fred Seaborn on the umpire zone. It was not good. It was bad for both teams, though. It was bad for both. I mean, you saw Anderson bark at him. You saw Dutton bark at him. Like, he was awful. Llama Lance, you didn't mention how the outfield let us down tonight. Yes, I did. I mentioned that very early in the show. You might not have been tuned in. I credited Fralick for going down and getting that pitch and hitting it. Curiel did not get a good read off of it. I think the ball carried on him more than he thought it was going to. It looked like a pop-up on TV, and it just carried. He didn't get a good read. Took a bad angle. He's played a great center field. This was DJ Trauma. I tried to go back up to the top and read your super chat. It would not let me go all the way back to the top of the chat. That's just how it works. Thank you for the super chat. If you would like to ask your question again, I can answer it. It was a rough play for Curiel. I will also note that Bub Terrell also lost the ball a little bit in the sky. He found it though and caught it. He plays in that. He plays in that park all the time. That was one of our things with this in the preview. Auburn's park is screwy. Left field's a tough sky. The deepest part of the park is the left center field gap. It's crazy. So I did mention that. And that's part of it as well. And then Reeves kicked 2 balls. One of them was very consequential, the one in the 5th inning. Any more questions? Let's get a few more questions in, and then we'll wrap things up for tonight. That was a bummer, y'all. It's just a tough one to see. LSU drop. Yep, Gray, I guess you're right. There are no questions. All right, we're going to wrap it up then, y'all. Y'all smash the like, get subscribed, follow me on social media, all those great things. Very, 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 very much appreciated. And we'll be back here after the game on Saturday, hopefully after an LSU win. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Be here next time for more Moose at the Box.